You are tuned in to the BS3 Radio YouTube page. We're doing this weekly during the Last Dance documentary. We got two of my brothers right here. I'm rocking the BS3 shirt. We got the logo back here. We getting it going. Courtney, we got to get your logo popped up there in a minute. But Al and Courtney, how's it going tonight?
Doing good.
Doing good. Same. Doing well, man. Doing well.
Last Dance episode 3 and 4. It was just as good as the first two. They went more in depth into Dennis Rodman, his backstory, where he grew up, why he was the way he was, but also went into Phil Jackson, which I thought was an also highlight to it. And then it went into, the games with the bad boys, the Jordan rules. That's always one of the best stories in basketball, period. But give me a couple takeaways you guys had. We'll start with you, Courtney.
Yeah, this was great. At 2 episodes, still 3 and 4. Just reminiscing about all the stuff that was going on, with Dennis Rodman, the way how he was, how he became, and all the things he was going through, and then the way he, the bad boy Pistons, and then he went to Chicago. That was I thought that was interesting. And he wasn't even like the way he was in Chicago when he was in Detroit. He was just a guy that just loved to play basketball. And then it turned out like, he had some suicidal thoughts. Like he had a gun, a rifle, sitting in the parking lot. Right. Sitting in the parking lot with a rifle. So that turned him into like, you know what? After that, I need to be free. So he goes to San Antonio, looking like the Demolition Man. and then,
like Meteor Man.
Meteor Man too. Right. So then it goes into this whole, the hair color change, and then not want to go to practice, and he was miserable in San Antonio. And he goes to Chicago, same thing a little bit, but this guy he plays basketball, so that was good to see. It was good to see the Bulls Pistons rivalry again. That was great, and also Phil Jackson. I read Phil Jackson's book, 11 Rings. I read that book, and it was a really good book. So I kind of knew some of the backstory of Phil Jackson, but the Zen Master, just in depth with that, why he is, the way he coaches, the way he teaches his guys, and that's why he's a winner. So yeah, all those things, man, made these 2 episodes really good.
Yeah. Al?
Oh man, it was so much. Like Courtney, I was showing Ben earlier, man. I got notes for days. But it shows, number one, why sports is so important, because you really see a lot of different life lessons of leadership, and how Phil knew what buttons to push, and how Phil was willing to change certain ways for the team, and Doug Collins wasn't. Now, I went and did a backstory on Doug Collins, which was very interesting. I'm gonna quiz y'all right quick.
Uh-oh.
Who was what school did Doug Collins? What college did he go to?
That's a good question right there.
That is a good question.
Yeah, go ahead and tell us, because we both probably got that wrong.
All right. He went to Illinois State University.
Okay.
And he played under the first African-American D1 head basketball coach in Will Robinson. Will Robinson, check this out. Will Robinson's backstory is so deep. He graduated, went to Michigan for his master's, for college, he went to West Virginia State, graduated, then went back for his master's at University of Michigan, could not get a job coaching at like the college level. So he had to start in the public high schooling system in Chicago for like over a decade. Then finally got the opportunity to go coach to, long story short, he was able to get to Illinois State as a head basketball coach, Coach Doug Collins, and stayed there for several years. Then went on to become a scout for the Detroit Pistons. Bad boy team.
Right.
And was a part-time scout for the Detroit Lions. That blew my mind.
Wow,
yeah.
The Lions and the Pistons. He was in
the Pistons. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So all that like connected. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, like Dougie was, and Dougie had a little flavor with him, you know.
He did. He had the Jerry curl, man.
Jerry curl, yeah.
He had that ultra perm.
Yeah,
he had some of that soul glow he was using in the locker room.
He got some soul on it. I'm like, okay, I understand now. And so I guess he was able to understand, you know, playing a particular style. So, you know, catering to Michael Jordan. But he didn't know I think his downfall was that he didn't know how to adapt.
Yeah.
And I put last night on my Facebook page, I said the triangle offense was the most underrated part of the dynasty because it was bringing a team together.
Right. And to your point, like what you put on our Facebook, Tex Winter was the unsung hero in this whole dynasty. Because without him, there would not be a triangle offense. Without Jerry Krause, there wouldn't be a Tex Winter. So Jerry Krause, when you look at it now, he should have got more love, but the way he went about it was completely wrong. Obviously, you know, the team could have still been together.
Yeah.
Yep. And just to add to that, Doug Collins, I mean, Doug Collins was a really good coach. Like, he knew how to coach. Like, when you hear him when he was broadcasting, even afterwards, he's very smart, intelligent. I just love listening to him talk. Now, him and Jalen Rose, they got close over the years. And Jalen Rose always say, when I was, you know, on the show with Doug Collins at the time, he called him Uncle Doug. So it's like, so Doug Collins is a really good coach. It's just like you said, he catered to Mike too much. And that was even on with the Wizards too. I think they're still called, I think they were the Wizards at the time. Bullets Wizards, I think they're still the Wizards at that time. So when he was coaching with the Wizards, Jordan kind of ran that anyway, you know, that team, because Doug Collins was like, this is Michael Jordan. I'm just going to let him do whatever. Jordan was the president. He was the player. He was the coach. Jordan did all that stuff. So all that connection with Doug Collins and that whole thing with him and Phil, I thought that was great, because I love when Doug Collins was like, well, that's all I'm going to say. I basically got pushed out, and I knew Phil was going to be the coach. You need to say anything else? No, that's it. Phil Jackson was going to be the better coach.
I just had a hunch. Yeah, the hunch was
that, yeah.
Phil was sitting 5 seats down from you, and Jerry Krause was in his ear the whole time. Jerry Krause was a backdoor deal type of dude, man. The same thing with Phil Jackson. The same thing, he did that with another coach. I'm trying to think of who that was, where he had a background deal. When Phil left, it was whoever the guy was.
Tim Floyd. Yep.
Tim Floyd, exactly. That was his deal. But one other thing I love that I want us to talk about is the relationship that Phil and Rodman had. I did not know how in depth it was. It seemed like Rodman, that was almost like his father figure, if you want to say it like that. But that was someone that was in his corner. And then you look at Jordan, how Jordan was basically helping this whole situation. We'll talk about the 48 hours, which 48 hours. But Jordan was included. Jordan has always been a leader, always been a player / coach. So Al, talk about that relationship, and did you know Phil and Rodman had that type?
Bruh, I did not know that between Phil and Dennis Rodman. I know that before he joined the Bulls, he had a lashing out with the San Antonio Spurs, because if you look back to when he was in Detroit, he was at his happy place, because Chuck Daly was the one to really, be in his corner, be his mentor, be his father figure. And then when Daly was left, and somebody else came in, that's part of the reason why, Rodman had those issues with the gun in his car.
Right.
And so then he got traded to San Antonio, and he hated it there. And you got to be able to know, as once again, that goes back to leadership, knowing you cannot coach everybody the same way. You cannot teach everybody the same way. And for Phil, it was hilarious when they had the first meeting, and Phil Jackson had to tell Rodman to stand up. Let me shake your hand. I want to talk to you. And Rodman was just like, man, okay, I don't care. You want to play for the Bulls? it is what it is, whatever.
It is what it is.
And, but that dynamics of their relationship, man, and how it just blossomed over the years. And he took them in as a confidant, being able to talk about Native American stuff. And then, Phil Jackson to like express his heart and be like, hey, you might think you weird, but look, this is what I dealt with as a player. Almost was like, Phil Jackson in his heyday was kind of a weirdo being
kind
a hit.
Rodman. Yeah.
Yep.
Seeing that they were similar as players and just the impact that they had, the relationship that they had, that was huge for Rodman, because who knows, if that was a different coach, it wouldn't have happened that way. And Al, you're right. You can't coach every player the same way, just like you cannot manage every person the same way. That's if you're a leader, you got to be able to customize your leadership to each and every person. But Courtney, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with what Al said, man. I mean, that just shows the leadership of Phil Jackson, and it goes to Chuck Daly too. Like how Chuck Daly coached Dennis Rodman. He was more of he was teaching him. He was teaching Rodman the ropes, basically. Like, you know what, you're this type of player. You're tremendous rebounder. You're athletic. You can run up and down the floor, and you play great defense. So Chuck Daly kind of instilled that in Rodman. So now you get with Phil. At that time, Phil Jackson already had won 3 championships when Rodman comes to Chicago. So Phil's leadership role is different. It's different from Chuck Daly's. It's, Phil said, I can relate to this guy. We need this guy. And plus you had the leadership of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. So Rodman already showed respect right there to those guys, even though they hated each other when they were playing. Rodman was just all about, let me just win. I want to win. These guys, they have a pedigree to win. So I want to come in here, do my job, and win. So Phil kind of just, he said his leadership role was to teach these guys differently, or coach these guys differently. So he coached Rodman different. He coached Scottie Pippen different. Pippen was a different type of cat too. So Pippen was in his own way. And then Jordan, another guy that had an ego. So you had all these guys with egos, along with Steve Kerr, along with Tony Kukoc, Ron Harper. You had all these guys, but that just shows the leadership skills of Phil Jackson, how he mended these different personalities, especially a wild cat like Dennis Rodman. And it blossomed into a great relationship, friendship. I mean, Dennis Rodman called him like a father figure. So that's a lot of respect. So Phil and Dennis Rodman both had a lot of respect, and Phil reined it in when he had to, and then Rodman went on to his 48-hour hiatus. Practice hiatus. Right. So, but it was great to see that relationship, how it developed.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and get into that. The 48-hour hiatus. So basically, that story was probably the funniest story of episode 3 and 4. I think it was Rodman came to Jordan, or Phil came to Jordan and was like, "Hey, we need to talk to you about Rodman." And he's like, "Okay, what is it about?" He was like, "Obviously, if Rodman didn't come to me, I know it's something that I don't want to hear.
Right?
It could be some BS." So he comes to him. He's like, "Rodman needs a vacation." He's like, "What? If somebody needs a vacation, it's me." When he said that, I was like, "Okay, here we go. Jordan is getting hyped." So then he ends up leaving. It was supposed to be 48 hours. He was gone. I can't remember the amount of time he was gone for, but he ended up coming back till it was time for the game. They ended up running the laps. Rodman was keeping pace with everybody else. He actually outran everybody else for like 4 laps. So to me, that just shows that Rodman came in here as a player wanting to win. He knew what the stakes were. He knew what they were trying to do. He knew what his role was, and he did a great job at his role. But Courtney, talk about that. When you started hearing about that 48-hour story, what was your thoughts?
Man, I tell you, that was the definition of load management. I tell you that.
That's where it all started, right there.
That's where it started. These players nowadays, they want vacations. They want to sit out for games and things like that. But Rodman, he said, I just need to get away. And it all started because of Jordan, the Bulls at that year when Scottie Pippen was hurt. They needed Rodman to step it up. So he did. So Jordan was like, I need you because we're struggling right now. We're 8-7 to 15 games. Pippen, we don't know when he's coming back. He's got contract disputes. So we need you. This is what we got you here for. We need you. So Rodman took advantage of that. He was like, okay, Jordan, and they need me to be the second guy. Okay, I'm going to do it. So he did it for whatever how stretch of games it was, 10, 15 games. Pippen comes back, and then it's like Rodman's like, okay, they don't really need me to be the second guy anymore. I need a vacation. So he goes to, I need a vacation. So I go to Vegas. I just need to let loose. So he let loose in Vegas. I don't know how long it was, either a week, 2 weeks, I don't know. But all I know, he was partying, he was drinking, he was doing a lot of drugs, whatever he was doing.
Carmen Electra was there.
Yeah, Carmen Electra. And then the whole thing with Jordan coming into his, they said it was a hotel room, but I was listening to Jalen and Jacoby last night. They do an after show too. And they had the director on. They said he wasn't in the hotel room. He was right across the street at his house. And the practice facility was right across the street from his house. So it wasn't even a hotel.
Yeah.
So Jordan goes and knocks on the door. This is a story. He goes and knocks on the door and just busts in and says, Rodman, get up. We need you now. We need you at practice. Dragged him out, they said. Carmen Electra's hiding. She's hiding from the whole situation.
I've been in the corner with a blanket over her face, like, wow.
Yeah. It was a wild time, but man, but that just shows you, like, Rodman still kept himself in great shape. He was ready to win. He said, okay, I'm ready. I'm locked in. This team really cares for me. Let's do it and win the championship. So it was interesting vacation that he had, the load management.
Quote, unquote. So when you seen Jordan sitting down, and Jordan's faces in this documentary, I don't know if I've ever seen Jordan make this many facial expressions, tell this many stories. And hey, hold on, but ESPN is just letting it go. There is no filter. I've heard this many cuss words on ESPN probably ever, but they're just letting it fly.
Rip, bro. And it's 2020. They letting it rip right now. Like I'm watching Scott Van Pelt. Some of the stuff he was saying on the after show. Scott Van Pelt was letting it rip. I'm like, whoa, this ESPN now. Wait a minute.
Hey, this ESPN after dark right now. They're not playing.
Right. After hours.
But talk about the Rodman story, the 48 hours.
Man, that blew my mind. I said, hey, they do that kind of stuff? Wait a minute. They can do that? You can get vacations and stuff? But the whole thing with the it blew my mind, number one. I'm like, 48 hours, Las Vegas. And see, I already knew the backstory with Rodman. I said, nah, he ain't going to. He probably was gone for like 3 or 4 days.
He ain't coming back.
and wasn't he married to Carmen Electra at that time, or were they still dating?
I think they were dating, because what she said is, when you're dating Dennis Rodman, it's a crazy nights.
Right.
But before that, he was with Madonna. So I mean, it's like this guy is just a wild guy with wild women, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, just to think, like, it's just, man, if this was 2020 and somebody have the world that we're in with social media and cameras now, and everybody can be a news journalist, bruh, like man, this be all over the paper, and this be a breaking news story on my news feed at 2 a.m. in the morning. Rodman in Las Vegas partying. He's supposed to be with the team right now during the playoff run. What's going on? I mean,
TMZ would have the photos that night. They'd be like, "Hey, Rodman's over here. TMZ don't play." They put that stuff.
So I'm like, man. But once again, Phil knew the buttons to push and what not to push. He knew who to give rope to and who not to give rope to. It kind of reminded me of Jimmy Johnson when he was coaching the Dallas Cowboys. I watched his documentary too, and he was talking about how certain players who you need, you can kind of give them a pat on the back and say, hey, you need to wake up. But if certain ones who fighting for certain positions not really important, and they mess up one time, you gotta let them go. Yeah. That's just the nature of the business. And it was a business decision that really worked out in the long run when you look at it.
Right. True. And that was a great point that you just made, because Jimmy Johnson would yell at Alvin Harper, or he would yell at the third or fourth wide receiver. But if it was Michael Irvin, he'd say, "Hey, come over here. It's all right, Michael. It's okay. You was late, Michael." It's okay you had that mink coat on and you was late.
Right.
Michael, it's okay. But so there's different rules to different players. But that is, to me, this showed the greatness of Phil. It showed the greatness of Dennis Rodman. The angles, the way he explained rebounding. I don't think I've ever heard anybody explain it that way. Catching angles, being able to get the ball when it's not coming towards you. If you see a ball bouncing off of this way, how certain people shoot and how the ball comes off the rim. He was doing a lesson on rebounding.
Yeah, man. Oh my gosh, the lesson on rebounder was unreal.
Yeah.
I said, so this is how he mastered this. Oh my goodness, he would go in the gym early in the morning and tell people, hey, y'all come up in here, hey, just shoot the ball this way, shoot the ball that way, and then he would study people's jump shots and how the ball would spin. I said, now that blew my mind. This is why he is a Hall of Famer right now. Exactly. This right here, he said, I'm gonna pick one thing to be good at, because he was good. Like back in the cut when he was in college, brother had a jumper, and then now for him, like I'm gonna pick defense and rebounding, and just studying the art of that. It hasn't been too many other players I've seen that have like made their art of rebounding and defense. Maybe Ben Wallace, but Ben Wallace wasn't the same type of player as Rodman. Rodman was just
Rodman, the way the highlighted show is he was basically kicking his leg up like so high, like he was punting the ball, catching the rebound.
Yeah,
now, Ben Wallace was a defensive staple, but that's probably the closest that you could say. I don't remember any rebounder like that. Like he would have 20 rebounds, 0 points. Like he ain't care. That's what he did.
Right.
All right. So let's switch gear to the Jordan rules. I've heard of them. I didn't know what the exact rules were. They gave the rules out. John Sally was like, if he comes to the hole, you just knock him out. Don't do a foul. His comment was, don't just do a foul to do it. Do it to hurt him. Like, do it to make it count. But the amount of clotheslines, the amount of pushing people into the stands, Bill Laimbeer was just was a hefty power forward that I don't know if he scored. I don't know if that was even his game. I do know though that he would knock you out if you came to the hole. It was great to see that. It was great to hear Isaiah, and then the back and forth with Isaiah and Jordan. I thought that was great. He was like, whatever he says, it's gonna be a lie because now he had time to think about it. But Al, talk about the Jordan rules and how that changed Jordan's game and the Bulls.
Man, it made Jordan and them man up. It made them look at it like, hey, this is because they talked about that. They said the two teams that was challenging Detroit was Cleveland and the Bulls. And so in order to get through them, it's like you have to build your team a certain way to get to the next level. And 2 years in a row, they said that's something, man, we gotta bulk up. We have to change our mindset when we come in here. We're not gonna get the fouls called on us. And all of us know the game was called different 20, 30 years ago than what it is now. And it wasn't no games of 115, 130 points a night. It was 80, 90 points scored, maybe. Hand checking. So for them to go in like that game 7, if you think about it, that second NBA finals that the Pistons won, they won it off of game 7 of Scottie Pippen having a migraine. Now, what if Scottie didn't have that migraine? I thought about that too. I was like, that one game with the migraine, they might have beat the Bad Boys because they were very close to push them to a 7th game. But that summer they said we got to get in this weight room. We have to hit these weights. We have to put muscle on our body. We have to switch the mindset. Look, bump everything else. Look, it's about beating Detroit. And it was like it was on their mind that whole 1990 and 91 season. Look, we ain't worried. Look, we ready for Detroit right now. And they practiced every night. They played every night like they was ready to beat Detroit. And when they got to the 91 Eastern Conference Finals, you sweep them 4-0. So for them to change, for them not to let them get in their head, in their mindset, and be like, man, no, I'm not gonna let you get in my mind. I'm gonna go ahead, build my body up, build my mind up, and after that, it was like, well, it was cake after that. Like now, you over the hump now. You have taken the torch.
Exactly. Yeah. It was one of those where the torch was being passed. And I think the Pistons, they started to get older. People started to learn their MO. People started to know, hey, we got to bulk up. And if we go to the hole, we got to go to the hole like in the future, LeBron. Like, you got to go to the hole like a bulldoze. But really, one thing that made me think of when they ran into the Pistons those times was LeBron. Think about the times LeBron, that time they went in against San Antonio, that first year in Miami. Like, LeBron had a lot of downfalls, and obviously he's 3-5 in finals appearances. So you think of LeBron and you think of Jordan. It's great to see how Jordan didn't just start out being a championship winning player. He did not start off that way. There was times where he had struggles. And then the triangle offense, when that got introduced, that's what changed everything. That's what made Pippen better. That's what made everybody around him better. But talk about the Jordan rules, Courtney.
Yeah, I remember this. I read this vividly because another book to read. Give shout out another book reading, man. This is the time to do it. The Jordan Rules by Sam Smith. I read this a long time ago, but to hear it and to see it now, 30 years later, 20, 30 years later, is amazing because, like you said, you can't get away with that stuff now in the league right now. The league would be suspended. You'll be fined. I think the teams will have to forfeit. they have to forfeit because you can't get away with stuff like that anymore. But the bad boy Pistons, when they put that Jordan rule in play, it was good to see because they basically punked the Bulls. They punked them all those years, those couple years, and the Bulls had to know, like, okay, we got to get over the hump. We got to beat these guys. We got to bulk up. We got to weight lift. I remember Jordan saying at that time, like, right after the game, like right after that series, they was in the weight room like a week later saying, B.J. Armstrong was saying, look, Jordan brought him in. It's like, we got to get stronger because if not, we're going to keep getting beat by these guys. And, with the rules the way they were, the Jordan rules, it was just physical. It was like you said, if you're going to foul to hit and foul to, not to hurt, but to hit them and knock them down. Right. And, it wasn't, some of it was malicious because you said they had Rick Mahorn, John Sally, Rodman, and Bill Laimbeer. Now, Bill Laimbeer, this guy was just a tough, rugged player. I couldn't stand him. I could not stand him watching him play. But he brought that toughness, and the Bulls didn't have that. Jordan was their toughest player. But when they took him out, Pippen at that time, they used to say, we can get in Pippen's head. We can take him out of the game. And if Pippen gets taken out of the game, we just got to beat Jordan up and let everybody else beat him. So, of course, Grant had to get stronger, BJ, Paxson, all these guys. And once they did that, they got over the hump. They beat them. They whipped them, swept them.
They took care of them boys. Yeah,
they took care of them. Yeah, and then after that, Jordan just said, "This is how you win. This is what you have to do." I remember one play they were showing him when Pippen got nailed to the ground. He got hit and he fell to the ground. Before, it would have been like, "Oh, Pippen got a migraine," or "Pippen got this." But this time he sat there, didn't complain, and just sat there for a while. He was hurt, but he said he got up, and the Pistons said they knew, like, okay, we're defeated. This team is the truth right now, and they're gonna beat us. And they went in and took care of business and won their first championship that year.
Yeah, and to see how Pippen just sat there, just like, I may be hurting, but I'm good, and I'm gonna take my time, and then when I get up, we're gonna finish whooping y'all. So that was great to see. The series is only going to continue to get better. I don't see us wondering, like, how good is it going to get. Every one of these episodes is going to get better. All right, so we got about 5 minutes or so left. What are you guys looking forward to in the next episode? Next 2 episodes. Before I say that, though, man, seeing BJ Armstrong was one of my favorite players since he was short.
Mine too.
Horace Grant. But those dudes look so skinny. They look like they were allergic to weights. Like, they was like, oh, weights? No, I'm good. It was like Luke Longley and Winnington was the only ones in the gym. And I'm like, Horace Grant looked so skinny, and now when you fast forward a couple of years, the dude was ripped. So they went straight to the gym. But Al, what are you looking forward to in the next episodes?
I'm looking forward to understanding the cultural aspect of learning about the dream team, learning about the basketball going globally, learning about the relationship, because they're going to touch on it a little bit, relationship of the passing of the torch of the greatest player from Michael to Kobe, their relationship aspect at the All-Star break. Those definitely with the Kobe Jordan relationship and the global impact of the game of basketball, pretty much, and what effect did Michael Jordan bring?
Yeah, and now the Kobe impact has a completely different meaning now. The Kobe and Jordan aspect now it's completely different than if this was released a year ago. And to me, that's probably going to be kind of that heartwarming episode for a lot of people to say, like, wow, this is what they had, and where Kobe passing. But Courtney, what are you looking forward to the next couple episodes?
I agree with Al. I think the Jordan-Kobe relationship, I'm looking forward to that, how that developed. And, as you said, it's a different thing now because, with Kobe and what Jordan said at Kobe's funeral, he said, this was like the little brother to, a piece of my heart left when he passed away. So that whole thing, that dynamic, because Kobe was itching. He was itching to learn from Jordan.
Yeah.
And, and Jordan, Jordan, he never really wanted to pay any attention, but he the backstory of that, Jordan really talking with him and teaching Kobe and giving him, tips and things like that. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to the dream team. Always like to see that, the greatest team assembled. The whole dynamic of Magic and Bird passing the torch to Jordan. This is Jordan in his prime, and Pippen coming into his prime. So, and it was that game. I don't know if they're going to touch on it, but it was that game they talked about, the practice, where they went out. They said it was one of the greatest practices, one of the greatest games, and Magic and Jordan just talking. And Bird was like, this is not our league no more. Jordan has arrived. This is his league now. So I kind of want to see that. And also the last thing I want to see is the Knicks and Bulls series. I think they're going to touch on a little bit of that rivalry and how much the Bulls hated the Knicks, and the Knicks were coming up just like how the Bulls came up on the Pistons. The Knicks were coming up. They just could never beat the Bulls. So I kind of want to go back and definitely see how that rivalry developed as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm looking forward to the interviews they're going to have with people that we haven't seen yet. I love the addition of Horace Grant. I love his comments. Horace was one of my favorite players, BJ. So I'm interested to see what different people they're going to bring in, because they're trickling in former players and stars as this thing goes along, which I think is a great aspect of it. So The Last Dance episode 3 and 4, 5 and 6 will be coming out next Sunday. We'll be back next Monday to do this same thing again. Make sure to check out all of Al High's episodes, The Casual Highlight. He's got some dope episodes, BS3Radio.com. Also, Courtney Harden dropping episodes as well. We're going to keep the content coming. All you got to do is go to BS3Radio.com. You got all the content you need. Listen to all the episodes. Enter into our contest, giving away a gift card every month. Very easy to do. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review. Subscribe on YouTube. Leave us screenshot it, send it to me. And then also join the email list. All that information is on BS3Radio.com. So, man, you guys have a good rest of your night, and we will be back. And everybody take care. Peace.